Hello everybody, it's Sylvie. Welcome back to Tarot Magpie. I hope you're doing all kinds of good. Today I am doing the follow-up to the 5 tarot decks video, which was a tag that has been adapted from the world of BookTube to TarotTube by A Riffle in Time. And that's a cat shouting. I'm not sure what her problem is, but she's definitely got one. Before I was interrupted by my cat, yes, so this is the Oracle version of the tarot decks. What was it, 5 tarot decks challenge tag? This is the Oracle version. I will link A Riffle in Time's original video down below, as well as my tarot version of this if you missed that. And we will get pretty much straight into this. So tag prompt number 1 is show us the Oracle deck you're currently using. And so if I could make a little bit less mess, the Oracle deck that I currently have on deck, as it were, is When Olga Speaks. I've mentioned this a bunch recently because I think it's fantastic. This is you cannot currently get this deck. It was a Kickstarter that didn't succeed. This was briefly available on Make Playing Cards, so I snagged myself a copy. I believe there is plans for a second Kickstarter, and I'm desperately hoping that if and when that turns up, or when that goes live, it will be successful because I want the guidebook. So this is When Olga Speaks, and I've been using it alongside the Lubanko Tarot as my daily pull recently. And they look so good together because of the black borders, that this is an intense pairing, let me tell you. My cat has recently taken to I've got like a big standing mirror, and my cat has recently taken to shouting at me by looking at my reflection in the mirror. She doesn't even look at me in reality, which I feel is very much cat behavior. Okay, so When Olga Speaks and the Lubanko Tarot, they look so good together, and they read really well together. I'm sorry about the glare from the lights. Maybe I should just... I think these look fantastic together. Obviously, we've got the black borders around both cards, or both decks. And there's something in the colour palette, because When Olga Speaks is analog collage taken from images from the 70s, from magazines from the 70s, I believe. And so they've got this kind of filter to them almost. I don't want to say filter, but obviously they have a look to them which you don't get with modern day 4K high resolution everything. And I just feel like that really works with the colour palette in the Lubanko, which is even the bright colours are bright and they're saturated, but they're not really in your face. I feel like there's a depth to everything in the Lubanko. Even the brighter colours, like this green here, it's saturated without being vivid, maybe. Anyhow, this is a wonderful pairing, but Community and the Star, it's a wonderful pairing, but it's an intense reader. The Lubanko is an intense reader anyway. I love this deck, but it is not an easy reader. I've got to kind of sit with it. It's not really the ideal pick for a daily draw, to be quite honest with you. But the Hard Choice and the Five of Wands, they're so good. So the Oracle I'm currently using is When Olga Speaks. Prompt number 2 is show us your last 5-star Oracle deck. And that for me is the Reclaim Oracle. So this was really tricky because even tarot, I've never considered in a kind of rating system. Even though I don't rate the books that I read, I still consider them in a okay, was this a 5-star book? Was this a 3-star book? What have you? But I really don't do that with decks. I don't I don't rank them in that way. I don't compare them in that sort of way because I'm looking for very different things from different decks, especially with Oracle decks. Like, at least with Tarot, you've got the structure of the 78 and you can make comparisons in that way. But with Oracle decks, like, they're all different. They all have their own kind of intentions and systems, and I use them for different things. I, at the moment, don't have nearly as large an Oracle deck collection as I do a Tarot deck collection. So everything in my Oracle collection is fairly unique, I think, at least in the way I use it. Go watch my Oracle deck collection video and let me know if you'd agree with that. But all that being said, I'm going with the Reclaim Oracle as my last 5-star Oracle deck, and this is actually one of the older decks in my Oracle collection. So it's not necessarily the most recent 5-star deck, but the reason I went with this one is because it is so incredibly well executed. It's so simple in concept, but I think it's so effective. So it's this feelings deck. It's got this extremely limited color palette. It's just black and this soft pale pink. Very simple block artwork with line work, and each card just has the one title, which is something I don't usually prefer in a deck. I prefer keywords, but because this is an emotions deck, it's 90 cards, each naming and depicting an interpretation of these emotions. It is pared back with the art style, but I think it's still really expansive. Like, in how many cards there are for starters, there's 90 cards, and when you go through this, you can definitely pull out cards where the titles have a lot of overlap, and somebody making a smaller deck would have only picked one. I obviously could not think of anything. Like, okay, belonging, and earlier we had support somewhere, and that's not the best example because I think those are quite distinct things, but you could definitely interpret them in a similar way. My point being, this is an expansive deck, so there are lots of emotions that have a lot of overlap, which I think is realistic for one, and it makes the deck as a whole, I think, more useful, more expansive in using it, because even slightly different wordings for very similar feelings, when you're using this deck, it can take you in a lot of different directions and like open up a lot of things. The little guidebook that comes with this, it gives you just enough. So we've just got like a thumbnail image and then a little description of how that emotion can show up, which I think can help to like unlock things. Like if I'm pulling cards at random and I don't know, like I see belonging, and in the moment that I'm pulling this card, nothing is coming to mind, then it's helpful to go to the little guidebook and it kind of jump starts things a little bit. Yeah, I think this is such a powerful deck, and it's so good at what it does that it is a 5-star deck in my opinion, because obviously everybody's different, everybody has different preferences. There are going to be people who have absolutely no interest in this deck, and that's fine. Not everything is for everyone, but I think if you did want a feelings deck, I can't imagine what you would need that isn't in this deck. So it's a 5-star. This one is also a 5-star because it is my favorite card size. It's shorter than your average tarot, and it's just like short and fat and comfy to hold. This is the same creator as the Lilith Tarot, and is this deck still in print? I don't know, is my answer to that. Okay, prompt number 3, show us a deck you keep putting off using, and it is the Faeries Oracle by Brian Froud, and I forget off the top of my head who did the artwork, but it's this one. It's a fairly popular deck, I think, and it's mass market. It is still available as far as I'm aware, and the reason I said as much in my Oracle collection video, but the reason I'm kind of putting this off is because I don't really know anything about fairies, because we've got named fairies like the Piper, and this is all kind of foreign to me. And what I should do is just read the guidebook, but I haven't gotten around to doing that. It's one of those things where I'm building up to be a much bigger deal in my head than it is, and I need to just start pulling cards, reading the guidebook as I pull cards, and then I will start learning what it's about and thinking of ways that I can use it and use these energies and use this deck in my practice, which is not going to happen if I don't start playing with it. And I know that. So this is something where I just need to get over myself and start using this deck. But definitely the foreignness of the content of this deck to me has become a bit of a barrier to me using it. And you might ask, Sylvie, why do you own this deck in the first place? And I went through a bit of a fairy energy kind of interest sometime last year. Couldn't begin to tell you exactly when because time has blurred into meaninglessness, but also this is highly recommended because of the guidebook, which is half the reason I got it. So it's daft that I'm putting off using it because I wanted something that had quite an informative guidebook. So that was why this deck specifically. But also it was cheap and accessible and kind of low stakes. So I got this for a reason. I got this because my interest was piqued and I want to kind of follow that and get to know it. So yes, the Faeries Oracle. Prompt number 4, show an oracle deck you feel is very underrated on YouTube. And okay, no. Sneak peek. Okay, look, they have similar titles. It's the Sustain Yourself Oracle. I am obsessed with this deck, and I imagine you maybe saw this coming, at least that this deck would show up in this video. The box is truly falling apart. So I have this as my underrated deck because I feel like I just don't see many people talking about this, and it has been out for some time. This edition that I have has been out since some point last year, but the deck has been in existence in an earlier edition for I don't know how long before that. I want to say sometime in the 2010s, like 2011 springs to mind, but that could very easily be entirely incorrect. But anyhow, I feel like this deserves more hype, more attention, more something, especially because this deck is by James Wanless, who made the Voyager Tarot, and that is a well-known, beloved, popular deck. So it is bizarre to me that I don't really see this crop up more, especially because it's this analog collage style, which I know I really love, but I know that a lot of other people also really love, like the popularity of like the Ritual Tarot, something like the Goddess of Love Tarot, which came out recently. That's collage style. Like, I'm surprised this doesn't have more buzz about it. And also, when I search for this on YouTube, half of the search results are my own videos because, like I say, I talk about this deck all the time. But yeah, I think this deck deserves more love. It's this nature and ecology kind of theme. The images and the titles. Okay, well I was going to say the images and the titles are all really neutral. This image in particular is incredibly neutral, but like we've got openness. So this is the title and then the keyword up top, nothing and openness, silicon and resources. Like they're all pretty neutral titles and keywords because the titles are the thing in nature, geese, which, you know, I think geese are spawn of the devil and horrid little creatures. But like they're allowed to not like people. I can respect that. It's just that my grandma used to have geese and they would chase me down the garden path and it was horrifying. But regardless, geese is pretty neutral. Like, they're an animal, they're not inherently good or bad unless you have grandparent based geese experiences. But anyhow, and then the keywords are also pretty neutral for the most part. Like migration can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. It's a thing that occurs in the natural world. It doesn't have any inherent moral value attached to it. It's just what we attach to it. So I hope that I have explained my point. I'll be honest, I talk about this deck so much that I feel like I'm repeating myself, but also I'm aware that not everybody has watched every single one of my videos. I talk about this a lot, so I feel like I'm repeating myself, but generally I think this is fantastic. It's also a huge oracle deck, and I know a common complaint of a lot of oracle decks is that they're really limited in the cards, and I think this has got, I want to say like 100 cards, 90 or 100. I love this, the wild card. So like it's all good. It's all good, and it deserves more hype. The guidebook is also pretty cool. The guidebook has some additional like messages in it. It kind of explains why the keyword has been chosen for the title and the imagery. And then it also gives you a little like, it's either a little question or like a little affirmation-y style prompt, which I know is a thing that a lot of people love in an oracle deck, and you get that for every single card with this. So the Sustain Yourself Oracle, I will stop talking about this now because, like I say, I talk about it a lot, but I think this is fantastic and it deserves more love. Okay, especially because, and I'm going to have to try and choose my words carefully, in oracle decks, especially in mass market oracle decks, I feel like a lot of the really popular ones are this. The vibe is very much like grounding and connect with the earth and be one with the cosmos and, you know, all that like harmony, love and light stuff. And this is quite literally about like being part of the physical world and all of the things that it contains. So it's odd to me that this doesn't have more attention, because I feel like it aligns with a lot of stuff that is very popular, but obviously is doing it in a much less like Instagram way. This deck approaches that idea of like sustainability and being within nature and part of nature, and it approaches it from it's more granular. Okay, that's what it is. This is more granular because it's saying like, you know, the geese, the horses, the gold, the silicon. Like, this is taking that granular view and then you build it up yourself. Whereas like everything is harmony, love and light vibes kind of deck starts from that place of like the big picture. And I think this is more, for me anyway, in the way my brain works, this is a more practical deck, to be quite honest. I love me a gentle guiding oracle message, but this is more productive for me in my practice with the way that my brain works and the way that I use my cards. So the Sustain Yourself Oracle, I feel, is very underrated. Okay, finally, the one that I grabbed earlier is called Outgrow Yourself. Like, you can see why my little brain gets confused. So this is an oracle deck that I think everybody should have, which is the final prompt. And to be quite honest, I could just say the Sustain Yourself again for all the reasons that I've mentioned, but I have picked a fifth deck, and it is the Sustain Yourself Oracle. No, it's not. It's the Outgrow Yourself Oracle. I keep doing it. These are the very cool backs. These are my cool yellow edges that I did. And this one, so first of all, this is a Thoth Tarot, but the Thoth titles have been replaced with these like oracle messages. So I use this more as an oracle than I do as a tarot, but you know, your mileage may vary on that one. This deck, in my opinion, is the perfect balance of being inspiring and motivational and positive, but also hits on some home truths. It doesn't shy away from the more thorny aspects of a situation, like pain is growing. I feel like this deck has messages that are applicable to most any situation, and for that reason, this deck is one that I would recommend to the most people, because like learn to flow, like we've got some, like this would fit right in with like a harmony with the earth kind of message. And then like win and give is a little bit more demanding, and I feel like when I read this, it's as though I'm demanding of myself. You are a full sun plant. Lovely. Do you accept yourself fully? That's some shadow work right there. That's a whole few journal pages. Like I think it's really wonderful. I also personally, I really love the art style. I've said it before, I'll say it again. This is my like spiky, it's got some spiky energy to it. And I think it toes that line. It does just toe that line really well of being truthful, but not harsh and blunt. And also does have a lot of very positive, very inspiring, very motivational messages. You could definitely use this, like I'm looking at this, what grows in the shade. That's pages of journaling right there. Like you could use this in a lot of different ways. I use this to create my own like tarot spreads, especially with the like question ones. I'll either pull intentionally or I'll pull randomly some cards from this and then use those as spread position prompts. Like I love this deck. I think it's fantastic. Also, I misspoke when I said the Thoth title has been replaced. Okay, well now I'm in the mages and the quartz. So like I forget what card gain is, but it's the numbering that has been replaced. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's Venus, isn't it? So I think this is the 9 of Pentacles, because I know the 9 of Pentacles is Vegas Inferno. Vegas Inferno. Okay, right, with that, I keep stumbling over my words. I'm gonna leave this one here. You may never be good enough. That's a bit intense. Grow through life. Let's end on that message. Okay. I keep tripping over my words. My cat keeps shouting. And I have finished all of the prompts for this tag. So that is it from me. Thank you so very much for watching. If you've made it this far, I really hope you've enjoyed. Do check out the originals for this tag as well as the tarot version. Check out my tarot version if you've not seen it. Check out my Oracle deck collection if you want to see more of my Oracle decks. I think that's about all of the self-promotion that I can fit into the end of this video, so I will let you go. Thank you for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed. Give me a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already, because that is a little bit more of self-promotion than I can do. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.